Welcome to the Living While Loving Your Child Through Addiction podcast. Here, we focus on self care as we tend to our own lives while also extending love and compassion to our kids. This podcast offers science backed skills to bring hope and healing to your entire family. Today, we're tackling a really hard question that so many parents ask. Should I kick them out? It is such a heavy, painful question. But the most important thing to know is that there is no one size fits all answer to this question. It is not black and white, even though it is so often presented as black and white. If you let them stay, you're enabling. But if you kick them out, you're doing the right thing. This decision deserves way more care, thought, and love than our society usually teaches us. The whole idea of kicking them out is part of a bigger problem. It is part of how we see as a society how we dehumanize people struggling with substance use. We treat them differently than we would treat anyone else that we love. And for some reason, that's okay. And I'm not judging. I was part of that. I had that same belief system until I learned differently. There's this meme that I see on social media all of the time that absolutely drives me crazy. It says, if the addict isn't mad at you, then you're enabling them. And if they are mad at you, then you're doing the right thing. Those aren't the exact words, but that's what it says basically. And that meme makes my stomach turn for so many reasons because it just reminds me of all of the decisions that I made under that premise. It implies that there has to be contention in your relationship with anybody struggling with substance use. And that's just not true. You can say no with love, and it doesn't have to hurt anybody. That is exactly what I teach in my Boundaries Masterclass. Love can be firm and kind at the same time, and it works. I've seen it working over and over again with all of the families that I work with. But when I used to believe that if I made Helena too comfortable or I made life too easy for her, that she would never get into recovery, I treated her in ways that I would never treat anybody else, ways that are not okay with me. And it hurt both of us. This episode is not about giving you a yes or no answer to this question. Should I kick them out? It's about giving you a perspective and a framework that gives you the power of making the right choice for you and your family rather than being shamed into an outdated, stigmatized approach. First, I want to point out the importance of how you think about this decision and how important the words are that you are thinking as you're deciding how you're going to handle this. When we think about kicking somebody out, our bodies go into battle mode. We get tense and defensive. We're preparing for a fight, right? We've got to kick them out. And when we go into battle, we go into battle to win. There has to be a winner and a loser in a battle. And if we go into win, that means that our kids lose. But when we think about collaborating or having a conversation, it softens us. It opens us up to solutions that can work for everyone. We can go into the conversation looking for a win win. Everybody gets to win. That perspective shift alone will change the outcome of the conversation and everybody's experience of that conversation. Deciding whether your child is going to remain in your home or not is a really important decision, and it deserves a lot of planning and intention rather than an emotional reaction that you might later regret. So slow down, think deeply, and make a decision that is right for you and your family. A decision that you can live with. I made so many decisions from fear, and I still have to reckon with those decisions today. But I am the only person who has to live with the consequences of my decisions. The people who gave me all of that tough love advice, they don't hold any of the weight of the grief that I carry. They're out there living their lives. I only regret the things that I did out of pressure or because someone told me that I should. I do not regret a single thing that I did thoughtfully or just from an educated place of love. The peace that comes from those decisions is truly a gift, and you deserve that peace. So the next time somebody gives you some well meaning, horrible advice, remember you are the only one that has to live with the consequences of that advice if you take it. The person who just tells you to kick your kid out without knowing your situation or without a second thought about the quality or lack of quality in that advice has moved on. They probably don't even remember telling you that. So don't give them any weight in your decisions unless they said something that you want to use in your decision process, but always run it through your values first. When you're deciding whether your child can stay in your home or not, here are some of the bigger things that you can think about to decide what's right for you and your family. Number one, think about the role of safe, stable housing in recovery. There are studies that show the importance of something called recovery capital. And recovery capital just means the resources inside and outside of a person that help them get into recovery and maintain it. That's a really simplified answer to what recovery capital is. But an important part of recovery capital is stable, safe housing. And research shows that having a safe, supportive place to live makes a huge difference in recovery. Unstable housing increases the risk of relapse and overdose. And I saw this firsthand with my daughter, Helena. At first, the sober living home she was living in, the last place she was great. But over time, the house became unstable and unsafe. After Helena passed away, I saw a group text message where the owner of the sober living home had been berating the residents and repeatedly threatening to raise their rent and throw them out, and actually did throw one of them out just for asking a question. And that's instability, among other things that happened there, was part of what led to Helena's relapse and death from an overdose. And that is why I share my experiences and things that don't feel so great to share, because I don't, not that I want to scare you, but because the more information we have, the more we understand science and not stigma, the more we understand other people's experiences and have more to pull from, the better equipped we are to support our kids and ourselves. At the time, I knew that the situation wasn't good, but I didn't fully see the impact that it was having on Helena until I read her journal after she passed away. I thought that she was managing the situation, that she was working through it while we searched for another place to live. But looking back, I can see that I underestimated how it was impacting her to be in an unstable environment in her home and how quickly things were getting worse. So, if I can give you better information than I had, if I can help you trust your instincts more, maybe it can make a difference for you and your family. And while safe and stable housing is incredibly important, it's not the only factor that we have to look at. One of the really important priorities is safety. So that brings us to point number two. Is there violence or a serious safety risk? If anybody is being physically hurt or threatened, safety has to come first. And this isn't about punishing anybody, it's about protecting everybody, including them. It's okay if safety means that they have to live somewhere else. That is very different than just kicking somebody out because you think that you have to. That is making an intentional decision with everybody's needs in mind. Number three is, how is your child living with you affecting your emotional and physical health, affecting the emotional and physical health of everybody in the home, including your child? Like, it might not be best for them either. So when you're thinking about whether or not they should stay in your home, it's not just about rules, it's about everybody's emotional and physical health. Are your younger kids feeling scared or anxious? Are you constantly stressed and anxious? Are you finding yourself dreading being in your own home? Is your child feeling safe and supported at home, or are they feeling judged and trapped? Like, these are just all questions that you can ask yourself, but this also deserves some deeper reflection because this isn't just about the surface level behavior, it's about the emotional climate in your home. If your home feels chaotic, it doesn't always mean that your child has to leave. Sometimes it just means that the way you're interacting with them needs to change. Everybody needs support in these high emotion situations, and the chaos can really be minimized with the right skills. So if you have better communication tools and you know how to regulate your emotions better and you know how to pause when you need to, and you're focused on the things that you can control, which is your actions, your responses, your boundaries, instead of focusing on the things that you can't control, you really can change the environment in your home without your child having to change at all. Like, this is exactly what I help parents with every day in the Peace of Mind program. And it makes all the difference. The beauty is that healing and positive change can begin right away. It does not depend on your child changing. You can set a calm tone in your home. So just think about if learning communication skills, communicating calmly and clearly in a way that makes your child feel seen and heard and understood, and regulating your emotions, creating more peace within yourself. You have so much more power than you think. And sometimes the smallest shifts in how you show up can create a huge impact in your home. The next one is, am I making this decision out of fear, guilt, or pressure? So I want to share a story about my experience with this. When Helena was 18, she moved out. I didn't ask her to move out. I didn't want her to move out, but she wanted to live her life the way she wanted to, and we were always at odds about that. So she couldn't wait to move out as soon as she turned 18. But then once she moved out, I would not let her move back in. I thought if I let her move back in, then I'm enabling her behavior. And that if I did that, that I was prolonging everybody's suffering by making her life easier. I thought I was hurting her by helping her because I believed in that idea of rock bottom. It had really been, I had just sat in so many meetings where I heard that term used over and over again and how a person needs to get there to decide to get help. And so I wanted to get her there as fast as possible so that we could all stop suffering. And one night after Helena moved out, she didn't have anywhere to stay. And I think about this night a lot. I told her that she could come over for a couple of hours. Well, she looked for a place to stay, but around 10 o'clock that night, I was ready for bed and she had not found a place to stay. So I told her that she had to leave. I did offer to give her a ride somewhere, but she was really mad at me, of course. And she decided to walk. And as she walked out the door, she stopped and looked at me. And she was just so angry and said, "It's so fucked up that you're making me leave, knowing that I have nowhere to go." And now I think back on that. She was just barely over 18. She had a backpack, no money, nowhere to go. Like, I can't even imagine myself at 18 facing that situation, how I would have handled it. But at the time, I told myself that that was what I had to do, that I was doing the right thing. I would have absolutely loved to have had the chance to make that decision that night from a place of science, love, and humanity, not from fear and stigma. And that is why I do this work, why I do these podcast episodes, because I want to get the word out that you get to decide what's best for you and your family. Nobody else knows. You can take things that feel right to you into consideration, but there's no one person out there, including me, that has all of the answers. That's why I'm not giving you answers. I'm giving you a framework to make the best decisions for your family. So just ask yourself, am I doing this because somebody told me that I should do it? Or am I doing this because it's truly what's right for my family? The next point is if you've thought everything out and you've been intentional and you decide that it is best for your child to move out, how can you do it as kindly and humanely as possible? If they can't stay, what's a plan that you can live with? Could they stay with another family member? Are there sober living homes or other safe living options for them? Think about how you can support a safe or as safe as possible transition for them. Not about this kicking them out, but transitioning into a better situation for everyone. Once I learned that I had a choice in how I responded to Helena, I approached asking her to leave very differently because I found myself in that situation again. Now, this story is from a couple of years later than the story I just told you about making her leave, knowing that she had nowhere to go. When I first moved to Florida, my daughter Helena stayed in Oklahoma. But about 4 or 5 months after I moved here, she went to treatment. And when she was done with treatment, she moved here to Florida with me. And That treatment stay had a significant impact on Helena, and she made a lot of changes, but she had a long ways to go, and her recovery was extremely fragile at that point. And, we don't expect crushed bones to heal overnight, and we shouldn't expect emotional healing to happen fast either. She was doing the best she could, but she wasn't on anybody else's timeline, but what she needed for healing. And she was able to stay in recovery for a couple of months after she got here. But I knew that we were on borrowed time and a return to use was imminent for her. She was really struggling. And I knew that I couldn't control it. So I did what I could to support her health and wellness and keep connecting with her and not trying to control the outcome because that I knew that was not going to work. It was just going to push her away. And so when she did return to use, it involved some very dangerous people. And our family no longer felt safe since they knew where we lived and they had threatened some family members. So, for everybody's safety, I had to ask Helena to move out. But I did it very intentionally, thoughtfully, kindly, and compassionately for both of us. Helena was not in a place to collaborate with me at that time. Otherwise, I would have collaborated with her to see what she wanted. So, what I thought about was what I could live with. And there, I came up with two options that I could live with. And the first one was that I was willing to, she had good insurance, but I was willing to financially cover anything that the insurance didn't cover so that she could go to treatment, to help her get set up in sober living after that. And even, find a treatment center that would take her dog. So anything I could do to support her recovery, I offered her that. And then the second thing that I offered her was that I would fly her back to Oklahoma because she could move back in with her friends that she had been living with before she moved here. And those were the kindest, safest options that I could offer her. And they were options that I could live with. I knew that I could live with her being in Oklahoma with those friends because I had been living with it for years. I wouldn't like it, but I knew that I could live with it. And it was certainly safer than her staying here. None of it was about throwing her out or teaching her a lesson or trying to even force any kind of decision for her to get into recovery. It was just about safety, the safety of my family, her safety, and options that I could live with. I really wanted to get her out of here one way or another and get her away from those people because it was very dangerous for her, too. And luckily, she chose to go to treatment again rather than to fly back to Oklahoma. But what if she had said no to both of my options I had offered her and she went and lived with the dangerous people that I was trying to keep her and my family safe from? That gets us to point number 7 or 8. I don't know. I'm losing track here. This is the last point I'm going to make. Ask yourself how you can honor your values and your child's autonomy. They still had the right to choose their own path. Helena had the right to choose what she was going to do. She could choose one of my options or make her own. Even if you deeply wish that they would choose something different, we have to honor their autonomy. And Helena had the right to choose. And I would have respected her decision had she decided to stay here. I would have done what I could to remain safely connected with her. And that's how I would show up in a way that reflects who I am as a person and as a mom and who I want to be. Walking that balance of honoring both of our needs and respecting who she is as a person with autonomy. So if you decide that they need to leave, try to do it with love. If they can't stay in your home right now, it's not about kicking them out. It's about creating a thoughtful, loving transition. Be clear with them about why this decision is necessary. Make it about protecting everyone's well being, not about punishing them. Nobody has to raise their voice or yell or accuse or do anything like that. You can offer them alternatives if that's possible. You can help them find their next step, but just do it from a place of love for everybody. You can just say, I love you. I want you to be safe. I can't provide the environment you need here right now, but I still love you and want to support you and remain connected with you. You can do this with integrity. There is no perfect answer. This is not a yes or no. There is a lot of nuance here, a lot of things to take into consideration, and you do not have to abandon your instincts or your values. You get to decide what's right for you and your family. That's it for today. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you found this episode helpful, I'd love for you to take a moment to leave me a 5-star review. Your feedback helps other parents find the support that they need. It helps get my podcast out there to more people, to spread the word, to get more families help, and it motivates me to make more podcast episodes. So please leave a review. And if you're tired of feeling stuck and scared and unsure of what to do next, you can schedule a Road to Recovery call with me. We will explore what is possible for you and your family with support from somebody who truly understands. You do not have to navigate this alone. The Road to Recovery call link is in the episode show notes, and it's also on my website. Until next time, remember that taking care of yourself is not a luxury, it's a necessity because you matter too.